This video focuses on the challenges of using social media for outreach in an academic library. The challenges listed here that I'll be examining come from the 2010 article, Social Networking in Academic Libraries, The Possibilities and Concerns by Andrea Dixon and Robert Hawley. So the first one on the list is the lack of quantitative data. According to Dixon and Hawley, several concerns about social networking by academic libraries center on the lack of quantitative data to support their effectiveness in student outreach. Most discussions about social networking by academic libraries are primarily anecdotal. Now, I actually disagree with this statement and think that there are a lot of sources of quantitative data for measuring social media outreach. So firstly, we have the number of fans, followers, or subscribers, and its growth or decline. The direction of the number of people that are interested in your page is a good indicator of how well you're doing. So not only the growth or decline of the number of fans, followers, and subscribers, but also the number compared to other libraries. So, for example, the average number of Facebook fans for academic libraries is 550. So that's a good point to measure from. You can record likes on posted content in Facebook and YouTube. You can record the amount of comments that fans, followers, and subscribers post on content or pages. A more sophisticated source of data is the number of people reached on pages in Facebook or video views on YouTube. So I'll give you a look at what the number of people reached on Facebook looks like. And reach includes how many people actually saw content from a page. So it could be fans or it could be friends of fans. In this case, it shows you on a particular day how many people were reached. Now you can also track traffic to and from pages via link shorteners, Google Analytics, and Hootsuite. Link shorteners and Hootsuite just tell you how many people clicked on a link that you posted. Google Analytics will give you traffic information about who was referred to your website via social media platforms. So I'll give you a look at that. Google Analytics provides a lot of data on websites, so that's what this is. But if you look at the traffic sources, there's the option to look at social, and this will just show you what social media site referred users to your website. So moving on from quantitative data, we have low participation rates. So as Dixon and Hawley say, one of the primary concerns about social networking is low usage. But participation is a tricky topic with social media, so it requires a little bit more context. First of all, we have to consider the 90-9-1 rule, which dictates that 90% of social internet users are lurkers, which means that they don't comment or like anything posted, they simply read and take in information. Only 9% of users are intermittent contributors, and only 1% are heavy contributors. So what this means essentially is that most users are passive consumers of information on social networks and social media. As indicated here, a study of major advertisers found that only 1.3% of Facebook fans interact with pages. So this is in line with the 90-9-1 rule and is incredibly important to keep in mind when assessing the value of social media for outreach. To put this in perspective a little bit, one study found that Facebook users like an average of 14 posts and commented on an average of 21 posts a month. And this is including all of the pages that they are fans of and all of their friends on Facebook. Another notable way to look at this is that in fall 2006, Penn State Libraries recorded their reference transactions across different modes and found that Facebook actually had the most reference transactions at 29%. So participation rates are a little bit more complex than they appear at first blush. But it's still important to encourage participation, so this warrants a look at how to encourage participation. So to begin with, a good way to drum up attention and participation on social media sites is to use online and offline advertising. So this can include links and icons on the library website as well as in staff email signatures. You can use flyers and signs around campus, mentions in instructional sessions. Basically, you just want to make sure that patrons are aware that there is a presence on social media and make it easier for them to find it. And once you get the users there, you want to make sure that you're consistent with posting and not posting all the time, but not posting so infrequently that it seems as if it's a ghost town. In terms of content, it's important to post valuable content. So a good rule of thumb is to ask, would the average fan, follower, or subscriber share this post with a friend? Now, the most valuable content will either contain entertainment, informational, or social value. As far as informational value goes, if we look at the graph below, this is from a survey of college students, so we can see that patrons will likely be interested in posts about events, information about services, research tips, and information about specific resources. Now, photos generally elicit a lot of attention, so they're good to post every once in a while. They can include photos of events, or can even be images from special collections, just something that will grab the user's eye. Contests and promotions similarly attract a lot of user attention and provide users an added incentive for following you, but they should really only be done at the most 3 to 4 times a year, or else they'll lose novelty. Finally, you can also use Facebook Insights to determine what's popular with your patron base. And even though this is Facebook specific, you can apply the data to other platforms such as Twitter. Insights essentially gives you a record of everything you've posted and shows you how much reach it's gotten, how many likes, how many page views, etc. So you can easily determine what content was the most popular, what time that content was posted is effective. So over time, you get a pretty good picture of what's popular with your patrons specifically. Next, we have resistance to befriending the library. As Dixon and Holly say, librarians are seen as authority figures within the university community, and students may be resistant to befriending the library if their personal information is visible to university officials. But this is another point that I'm going to contest. There are actually studies who have said that patrons are not resistant to befriending the library by majority. For example, Western Michigan University Libraries found that over 2/3 of survey respondents who were also Facebook friends initiated the friends relationship. So obviously there were individuals who were actively seeking friendship with the libraries on Facebook. In another study by Valparaiso University, they found that 75% of students would be friends with the library on Facebook. Now, the same study asked whether students felt that the Facebook was a good way for the libraries to stay in touch with students, and over 90% of undergraduate students replied yes or sort of. So clearly some students do think that it's a good idea for libraries to be on Facebook. But we do have to keep in mind that Dixon and Holly's article was published in 2010, and the literature that they draw on is even older than that. So things are a little bit different now in regards to Facebook and a lot of the other platforms. Primarily, a lot of the libraries who were early adopters of Facebook used Facebook user accounts rather than pages, because pages weren't around until 2007, and then fan pages weren't able to publish to the newsfeed until 2009. So in this situation, with libraries using user accounts, then yes, libraries did have access to student information that may have turned off some of the students. However, now companies and organizations have the option of creating Facebook pages, and with pages, administrators can only see students' publicly visible profiles and posts. So there's a lot more privacy in this regard. So with this in mind, I suggest that libraries only use Facebook pages and not user accounts. In the same vein, Dixon and Holly point out that students generally use social networking sites to distract themselves from academic activities, and they're not using these services to connect with libraries. I think this is partially true. Facebook and other social networking sites were first used for leisure primarily, but they've evolved since their inception. In 2010, the EDUCAUSE Center for Applied Research conducted a study of undergraduate students and information technology. In this table, we can see from their results that students use social networking sites for a variety of purposes. Notably, 51.5% of students use social networking sites to communicate with classmates, and 21.2% of students use social networking sites for professional activities. So we can actually see a range of uses for social media beyond simply leisure. Furthermore, we can see that 28% of Facebook content is news, 13% of Facebook content is how-to or do-it-yourself, and 47% of Twitter content is news. So we can see that there's a lot more on social media sites than simply leisure activities. And significantly, a lot of the content is informational, which validates the use of social media for dispensing news about library activity and services and resources. But I think because social media has its roots in leisure activity, it is important to approach it from a leisurely perspective. So be leisurely. Use a light and casual tone, be funny and entertaining. Pictures and videos are great for entertaining your users, and sprinkle in non-academic content every once in a while. And by doing these things, you have a greater chance of engaging your students and keeping their attention.